And let's start with, gosh, a shout out to one of our local guys. We've talked about him a bunch the last couple of weeks. Quarterback C.J. Stroud of the Houston Texans, the pride of Rancho Cucamonga, beating old Joe Burrow and the Bengals head-to-head, 30-27, and he led them on a game-winning drive to set up the game-winning field goal as time expired. Patrick, there's talk that he's going to be the Rookie of the Year. There's now talk he might be the NFL MVP. C.J. Stroud of the Coug, man, doing it.
He needs to be recognized for sure. And yeah, he went to Ohio State, back in Ohio. He was kind of excited. He's one of our very own. And even the nice thing to see is, and it reminded me of the IE, is he's resilient, man. Even though he threw a huge pick, he stayed tough. It's funny, at the end of the game, he told everybody on the sideline, like, I'm sorry, I have your back. I will make up for this. He gets him in field goal range. Boom, a lot of field goal wins, if you notice, this weekend in the NFL. Even my Seahawks. Boom.
Boom. Your Seahawks did it with a field goal. The Texans did it with a field goal on the road in Cincinnati. I got to bring this one up for all the Charger fans out there. The Lions over the Chargers, 41-38, on a game-winning field goal at the end to beat L.A. in L.A.
And look how well Mr. Justin Herbert played, and they still lose. Oh.
Yeah, Justin Herbert was fantastic. The Chargers scored on their final 5 drives. So, they saved the best for last, and they were really good at the end of the game, but they just came up a little bit short against Jared Goff, man. I mean, remember, Goff got the Rams to a Super Bowl, and then they ran him out of town like he was the worst thing. Everyone thought, man, this guy's awful. We're not going to do anything with him. The Lions are 7-2 right now, and Jared Goff, when we talk about MVP conversations, Jared Goff has got to be in the MVP conversation as well.
Yeah, they like to forget that a lot, but if you look at his numbers, he's always done really well. He can throw, he can spin it, as they say.
He's been super solid for a very good, just a real good Detroit Lions team. So that was a big win for them on the road against the Chargers. And I'm kind of surprised that, Brandon Staley, he's still around, still losing the close games. And I don't know how long this will go on, Patrick.
No, I don't think it'll. I think maybe he will make it to the end of the season, but that's about it for sure.
Yeah, it does not look good for Brandon Staley unless they find a way to win some of these close games against good teams like the Lions. That did not happen. Now, one game that was not close, I got to bring it up, it's my 49ers because they have looked so bad in the previous 3 games. Well, somehow they just put it all together, like they just flipped the switch. They're like, oh, we're back. We're back to being the 49ers that you saw at the beginning of the season. They hammered Jacksonville on the road 34-3. Although my guy CMC, Christian McCaffrey, did not score a touchdown. So his NFL record streak of consecutive games with a touchdown ends at 17.
He did do a lot of damage, though, in the game. And Deebo Samuel being back, you could feel kind of the energy and the spark was back with the 49ers. And, of course, Chase Young, he does more. That defense is coming right along, man. And, Kittle, they look like, they're easy to – I guess we forgot about them for about a week, right? They went through a little tough time, and they're back.
Yeah, they sure look good again. If they can consistently do that, I guess that'll be the question because, again, they looked so bad the last 3 weeks. Can they consistently do that over the rest of the regular season? We're gonna find out. Sunday Night Football, we had the Raiders and the Jets, and Antonio Pierce, the interim head coach of the Silver and Black, restoring the greatness as they win again, as they beat the Jets 16-12. It wasn't pretty. Came down to an attempted Hail Mary by the Jets at the end. But Patrick, as they say, a win is a win is a win. Just win, baby.
Yep, they're 2-0 under Mr. Antonio Pierce, and they got it done, man. And that defense does look to take on the attitude of Antonio Pierce. Said, let's come out here and do a little smash mouth action. Huge interception by their middle linebacker. They were interviewing him at the end of the game. Dropped a little S-bomb, but nevertheless, the Raiders do win, and a win is a win.
Hey, they're playing with some edge right now, right? So, and I don't know, man. Maybe they're a playoff team. They're creeping back into the playoff picture right now, getting back to the 500 mark on the season.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah. Hey, and on the flip side in that game, on the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, speaking about his Achilles tear and his injury in the recovery time, they're saying, or he's saying at least, maybe mid-December. Patrick, we're looking at about a 3-month recovery window for Aaron Rodgers, which an Achilles injury, first off, Some athletes never come back from an Achilles tear. Usually it takes a good year to come back from that. He's saying 3 months.
It just makes me wonder about the magic mushrooms or the ayahuasca or whatever hasn't gotten to his head. One thing that should be mentioned is it is not his rear foot, which is his plant foot. Mm-hmm. I think if it were, it would be totally different, but it sure seems dangerous to me, man. Because he's up there in age. He can't afford to have one more blast to this thing or he's done.
Yeah. And maybe he knows that. Like, hey, I want to get back this year, and if I do it again or make it worse, then I'm done. I'm going to hang it up.
Yeah.
So we don't know what he knows. So he might come back in mid-December, which is like in a month. So it's crazy.
Wow.
All right, we got to talk some college football. Another one of our local guys, Patrick. Man, this guy is probably the favorite now, the front runner to win the Heisman Trophy. It is quarterback Jayden Daniels of the LSU Tigers, the pride of Cajon High School. Had the game of his life against the Florida Gators. 372 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. 234 rushing yards and 2 more touchdowns in a blowout win. Patrick, he might be your Heisman winner from the Dino.
Boy, can you believe it? Talk about a signature win. My goodness, he went bananas with his legs. But like you said, he wrecked shop at Cajon, and it looked like he was back in high school again, doing everything he possibly could, like Michael Vick out there, but a better thrower.
Yeah, no. He can do it all. He's the true dual threat quarterback. He's a great runner. And those numbers, I saw people talking about on social media like, oh man, there's never been a quarterback do this. And I'm like, yeah, there was. His name was Jayden Daniels at Cajon High School. He used to put up those same kind of numbers playing for the Cowboys here in San Bernardino. But yeah, with a game like that, with LSU having such a great season, he might win the Heisman Trophy. He might be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft if Caleb Williams and USC continue to struggle and kind of, limp through the rest of the regular season here.
Pride of the IE. Wow.
Man, exciting. Speaking of USC and Caleb Williams, they lost to Oregon on the road in Eugene 36-27. So mathematically, officially, USC is out of the Pac-12 championship picture. So they are done now.
After all that, man, it's the way it goes. That's why they play the game, right?
Yeah, and it sure looks like we're going to have another Washington-Oregon game, a rematch for the Pac-12 title. The Huskies picked up a huge win against the Utah Utes over the weekend. So Washington versus Oregon, it looks like that collision course will probably happen at the end of the year.
Yes, and then did you see the Michigan coach?
Yes.
After the game, they suspend Jim Harbaugh after, college's Spygate or whatever is going on, Imposterville or whatever you want to call it. And a highly emotional assistant head coach just dropping F-bombs and S-bombs. I mean, he was crying and going crazy. I would think that he's not going to be getting any jobs. And you got to control yourself.
You know what? He hitched his wagon to Jim Harbaugh, right? So he's going down with the ship, man. He was emotional. He's like, I love Coach Harbaugh. He was crying. So he's hitched his wagon. And that's fine. I mean, as long as Harbaugh's at Michigan, he knows he's in his corner. You know what I mean? So maybe Harbaugh goes to the NFL, he'll bring him with him. But yeah, that was a big win against Penn State. And Jim Harbaugh cannot be coaching on the sidelines on game day for the rest of the regular season, which means that big Ohio State game at the end of the year, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, that game was so big, it got the offensive coordinator of Penn State fired.
Yeah, you're right. It did. Yeah, it was 24-15. The Nittany Lions couldn't move the football. And Michigan in the second half, someone compared it to an anaconda just strangling the life out of Penn State because they ran the football every single play in the second half and just forced their will on Penn State.
Pounded the rock.
Mm-hmm. It all still wins football games. Don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, And finally, Patrick, a little NBA, and I'm not trying to just bury the Clippers, but since they've landed James Harden, they are 0-4 with Harden on the floor. So James Harden, great player, but I don't know, man. I just feel like he's just not necessarily a winner or makes a team better. They're 0-4 with Harden in the lineup after losing to Memphis last night.
I know it's kind of a sport in the city of Los Angeles to make fun of the Clippers, but it does seem like this is a disaster for sure. And I mean, we've seen a little bit of this coming to where he kind of goes bad and turns bad at every single stop. he has had, maybe minus the old OKC days,
Yeah.
but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago, man. They were good in OKC. Remember Harden, Westbrook, Kevin Durant? Those guys were all together. I mean, if they could somehow figured it out and stayed together, that could have been a dynasty, but they didn't. They were all in their prime at the time. Harden's not in his prime now, probably not in the greatest shape either, right? To be honest.
No.
So yeah, it is not working out so far with the Clippers.
No, it is not, man. So we'll have to definitely see what happens with the Clippers if they can finally get their first win. If they do, Pep and I will be talking about it. Maybe it'll happen by this Thursday. Pep, tell them how to get your stuff.
Hey, we rip the Clippers, but we will also praise the Clippers if they can actually win a game with Harden. We'll talk about it. Find my stuff on Inland Sports, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Heavy on the Inland Sports YouTube channel. That is Inland Sports.
Thanks, Pep.